Today we're talking about sus chords, that is short for suspended chords, and they can be the concept of some confusion on ukulele or really any instrument, but there's two types. There's suspended 2 chords and suspended 4 chords. This is going to be everything you ever wanted to know about suspended chords on ukulele and how to play them. So we're going to start with the people's chord, G major. This is probably the one that gets suspended and unsuspended the most. Gets suspended more than me in junior high. I was a wild man trading Magic the Gathering cards, which apparently was illegal, but you know, paid my time in detention. Came out a better man. So we got G major right here. Easiest way to do this is just take your pinky and put it on the 3rd fret. So instead of open 2, 3, 2, it's open 2, 3, 3. This is a G sus 4. Okay, so G major, G sus 4, G major, G sus 2. Okay, open 2, 3, open. Right, so we've got the major chord and then the 2 types of suspended chords, sus 4 and sus 2. So you might be thinking, well, okay, cool, you can just take a major chord and then a suspended chord is kind of like a major chord with a little bit of extra sauce on it. Not true, you can also suspend minor chords. The suspension part has nothing to do with it being major or minor, even though generally I see it more off of a major chord. You could also have a minor chord. Right, so here's G minor, open, 2, 3, 1. And then we can just take the pointer finger off to make G sus 2, G sus 4, G minor. That's a Radiohead song. That's the sound of a minor chord getting suspended and unsuspended. Unsuspended is not a musical term. Please do not repeat that unless you're doing it in jest. And the sound of a major chord. Little Bon Jovi action, or Stairway to Heaven. Okay, so a lot of ways to suspend it, but let's talk about what this actually means. What you're doing when you suspend a chord is you're taking either its major third or its minor third and replacing it with either the 2nd note or the 4th note in the scale, which is why it can be major or minor, because as far as the major scale and the minor scale are concerned, the 2nd and the 4th note are going to be the same if you start on the same root note, okay? So in the key of G major, the notes are G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, okay? You don't even have to think about the sharps because we're not talking about any 7 number magic here. To make a G major chord, to make any major chord, you take the 1st, the 3rd, and the 5th notes in that scale to make it. So if our first 5 notes of G major are G, A, B, C, D, we take the G, we skip the A, we take the B, we skip the C, and we take the D. A G, a B, and a D. Taking the 1, 3, 5 of any scale is how you make any major chord. So again, when we're playing this chord right here, we're playing the G string open, so that's a G. We're playing the C string 2nd fret, C, C sharp, D, G, D. There's the 1, the 5. And then this is the E string, E, F, F sharp, G. So that's the 1 again, 1, 1, and then on top we've got A sharp, B. So 1, 5, 1, 3. If I were to number those notes in the G major scale to get this. Now you'll notice that 3rd note is the only one that we changed if we want to make it major or minor. Okay, see? Open 2, 3, 2, major, open 2, 3, 1, minor. Okay? So that 3rd, whether it's a regular 3rd or what's called a flat 3rd, just one behind it, one back, makes it major or minor. Everything else stays the same, right? Now, if we were to replace that 3rd, if we were to suspend it, right? Like when you're suspending something in midair, if you have telepathic powers, you take something and you kind of lift it, right? We're just going to do that, but we're going to go to the 3rd fret. And we're going to change that B, and we're going to make it a C note. The 3rd fret on the highest string is a C, right? So now we have a G, a C, and a D. G, A, B, C. That's the 4th. That's G suspended 4. If we were to take that B note, that 3rd, and open it up, giving us an A, G, A, that is a G suspended 2, okay? So you might think, oh, well, that's the same as just adding the 2nd or 4th note. It's actually not. In fact, sometimes you'll see some stuff that says like G add 4. We're replacing the 3rd with the 2nd or the 4th note. And that's the music theory behind it. So once you kind of understand how it's named, then I think it really helps you understand how to build chords and play stuff just beyond suspended chords, right? So again, doesn't have anything to do with major or minor, even though we take notes from the major scale to talk about them, but that's how you do suspended chords over G. So let's do another example. Let's do probably the easiest chord. Let's do the key of C. Okay? Open, 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 C. And it's really great to be able to speak out the notes of what you're doing. That helps you immensely, even if you can't wrap your head around all the notes and stuff and the frets and everything right now. It's really going to help in the long term, being able to visualize. Be like, all right, so remember when we said we're making a G chord, it's a G, a B, and a D. I want to take that middle note, that third, that B, and make it either a C or an A. Once you start thinking alphabetically, I think it becomes easier. So G-A-D is a G sus2. G-C-D is a G sus4. Now, when a C major chord comes into it, let's erase all the G stuff, all the G-ness from our brain right here, make a C major. We've got a G, a C, an E, and another C, right? So, the notes in the key of C major are C, D, E, F, G, A, B. Really the same notes, except the F is F natural, not F sharp, is G. So remember, C is 1, D is 2, E is 3, F is 4, G is 5. Now you know why these are important, because 1, 3, 5, C, E, G make the chord, and then that 2 and 4, D and F, are going to help us inflect this chord and change it, right? So we have a G right here, that is the 5 in the key of C, a C, G, C, C is the 1, E, there's our major third, right, the third, and then another C on top. So, it's going to be a little bit different. We can't use the same shape, but listen to the sound of a G to a G sus4. Now with the C major, we already determined that the third of this chord, bear with me, watch this video again if it might take a couple times to sink in. But again, that E string is its third. So remember, if we just go one up, one fret higher, that's a C sus4. That's the sound of a C major to C suspended 4. Same as G to G4. So it has a really cool sound that I think you'll find very useful, aside from just seeing it on chord charts that you may see right now. Now, how do we make a C sus2? Okay, we have to take this E and replace it with a D, right? Remember the 2. So how do we do this? Well, we can't do it here because we can't go lower than an E. So we have to kind of start hunting around and finding the right things. Where's the easiest way probably to replace this note with a D? Well, we've got the C string, right? We can go C, C sharp, D. And now that's a little closer to the sound, but here's that E. That E is still there, okay? So now we've added the second note. C add 2, C add 9. For all you crazy fancy people, check out my Patreon if you want to know more about chord building and chord naming. So we've kept that E intact, which to truly make a suspended 2 chord, we can't have that E in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go E, F, F sharp, G, and I'm going to double up on the 5th of this chord. And now I've got this, open, 2, 3, 3 for a C sus2. Now, if you're a detective out there, you'll be like, that looks familiar. This C sus2, we already talked about this as a G sus4. And this is where suspended chords are really interesting, because one suspended 2 chord is also the suspended 4 chord of a different note. And this is where I think music theory becomes really fun, because it's like, oh, how are you perceiving this? When you play this chord after a bunch of C major stuff, it sounds like, oh, a natural C suspended 4 to suspended 2 progression. If I play this same chord, but I'm just rocking on G major, then it's like, that's definitely a G suspended 4 chord. So that's why it can be kind of confusing when you think about these as separate entities, but it makes a lot of sense once you start building them as chords, right? Because no matter how you get a C, a G, and a D, or a C and E, a G together, all that stuff just kind of plays a role in making good music, right? So I think that there is maybe a little too much emphasis from a educational standpoint when it comes to talking about theory and being like, well, technically in this key, that's a G sus4, not a C sus2. It's like, who cares? Does it sound good? But it's really good to know how we come about naming these things. And it's something that you can kind of just, think and do kind of like thoughtful experiments about. Okay, well, maybe if I'm taking this C chord and then I just make this top C a D, but I want to make this an F, it doesn't so much matter what the chord name is, but does it sound good, right? And that's ultimately what we want to do, is just make cool sounding music that is entertaining, engaging, and you're always learning and pushing things forward, right? So, that being said, I personally found, as someone who's self-taught, never had like official lessons or anything, understanding the music theory behind it, it was really helpful for me to just experiment and understand just, the instrument, whether it's ukulele, guitar, or piano, or anything, a little bit better. So hopefully that sheds some light on suspended chords, suspended 2 chords, suspended 4 chords. And if you have any questions, please let me know.